I wouldn't have to come to a point where I am on a bed of certain death to know that. Because what I'm saying is, when you consider, or take it from your side now being well and seeing someone else, what are you doing to that person? That's not your prerogative. You see what I mean? We as human beings have not got the right to decide whose life is worth something and whose life isn't. That is not our prerogative. So then it means, alright, so if you agree with that, then dismiss euthanasia, because that is what euthanasia is.
I'm not dismissing it. It's something that I would like to spend a lot of time studying. I'm not going to dismiss something simply from my point of view. I have not learned enough about why people will want to practice euthanasia or not. I just have a practical view. I just have a basic understanding, but I'm not getting into the depth of it. But let me ask you this.
Okay, let me just make this quick point. Some people will say to them that it's better you die as a man if you can't live like a man.
What does that mean?
It simply means if you can't live in dignity, it's better you die in dignity.
So you would then go and kill all of the poor, hungry, half-naked people in any country?
Of course not. No, of course not.
Why not?
Not because you're poor and hungry, you are not living in dignity.
Well, look, we've got rapes, and I don't remember where it is, but they lined them up and shot them.
Of course. But I'm talking in terms of, you remember I mentioned the situation with my friend where he has to be bedridden, and people will have to now shower him and sponge him.
Yeah, every time somebody gets sick and become bedridden, you would then say that let's take them out because they can't wash themselves and feed themselves.
No, I wouldn't say that. And just remember.
Well, but that's your argument.
No, it's not, because I'll tell you why. Because remember, as I understand it, assisted suicide, it means when the person who is ill will call for it. It's not a situation where somebody get ill, terminally ill or bedridden. Somebody go to them and say, let's take you out because you're not going to live. It's not like that. And so please, it's assisted.
Yeah, but sometimes people, depending on the degree of pain and suffering they have, do act irrationally. So if you went to visit somebody, and the person had a really irrational reaction, say, I just want to die, would you then say that they ought to die and get them out of their misery?
And they call for it, so let's give it to them.
Yeah, I think, and this is one of the very, what you might call challenging part of this movement today, as I read, because if someone is mentally ill first and now they are physically ill.
No, the other way around. Physically ill first and then is really not being able to deal with their illness.
Well, that's one of the challenges it's posed.
Where depression comes in, they become clinically depressed.
So
what you do? You're going to and they want to die and you kill them?
Well, again,
or you assist them, or tell them how they can kill themselves,
and then take out their liver and give it to John or somebody else.
Again, my first experience with this is back as a teenager. I was sitting, taking in the evening news with my parents, and there was this guy from the US who was paralyzed from his neck down.
Yeah.
And he wanted to die. And as I sit here, it's almost as if I seen that clipping on TV that night. It was on CNN. And there was an issue, that was an issue in the United States, and that could have been in the 80s. He was, it's almost as if I seen it now. And they showed the guy lying down in the hospital, and he was arguing his right to die, but therefore there was not any law that would have assist him or would have made that possible. You know, that was from the early movements of this situation. And I think again. I understand. John, I know. Yeah, I was saying, John.
Yeah.
Yes. It's sort of dehumanizing to a lot of us to see that you have to just lie in a bed there and someone has to do every single thing for you. It's really something that you will want to resent. It takes a lot of...
Let me break in here. Have you ever been to a hospital yet?
Of course, many times I had surgery. I had 2 surgeries before in my life, so...
Good. So when you had just come out of the surgical theater and you were just there and somebody said, "Oh my God, he's just suffering. Let's take him out." How would you have felt if they'd done that to you?
Well, again, I wouldn't have accepted that. I wasn't that.
Why not? Because
let me just say that the surgery that I had.
You were not in a position to accept it. You were drugged, you were sedated, and you were conscious, and
see, I made a point. I made a point earlier on. Assisted suicide or the right to die movement does not look at a person and say, "Let's take him out. He should die." It only comes from someone who make the request, and what they do is, they go to the person, they listen to what the person have to say, and what they do, in their own way, feel that they'll have to talk to the person to make the right decision and to go peacefully. Whether they know the person, make sure the person know what they're about and what they say. I think those are ways, it actually have what you call suicide counseling groups. Now,
what I'm driving at is that who gives you the right,
the authority. The right,
right? Who gives that to you? Does the law give it to you? And you might say the Lord gave it to you, but who gives you that right to determine that somebody must, because you thought they were suffering, or they look like they're suffering, or that they are suffering?
No.
And that they want you to assist them and put it
and that's the point. And that's the point I'm making.
Who gives you the right to comply?
Right, that's the point I'm trying to make here. The movement is saying that the person has a right to determine no one is to determine whether they should live, or the only person that should determine that they should live is John. If John alone must determine he should live, George alone must determine he should live. Or past Reverend Henry is only the one, not the state.
But let me ask you something, George. Can I ask you a question, George?
Oh, sure.
Good. I want to ask you this question, and I really want you to answer me honestly. Do you believe, and by believe I mean accept within yourself, the statement that God has promised that He will not leave us or forsake us? Do you believe that, or you think that that's just an idle boast?
No, I accept 100% what the Bible says. Yes,
you
but however, of course I do.
George, if you do, why are we going further?
We are going further because I tell you my position on this topic tonight. It's an open position. I told you a whole set of information presented itself to me that has me thinking. I am not saying that I agree or disagree. You keep saying you and you and you. I would like to know what motivates people.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead, yeah.
Let me ask
I can answer that for you.
Yeah, what would happen if I came by and looked at you and said, well, I think he's suffering a bit too much. He's depressed. He's hungry. And I think I ought to help. And he said, oh, I wish I could get out of this life now. and I decided that I was going to help you to escape. Would I be right?
And what were you going to help me to escape? By feeding me or by ending my life?
The misery that you're in, yes.
Yeah, but how are you going to do that? By feeding me? Help me do it. You can do that by feeding me, no?
No. Why?
You can't even eat.
You see what we're saying here? No. I'm telling you. In my research, the right to die movement does not operate like that. They does not look at a person and say, you need to die. You should not live.
I'm on an international call now. I'll call you back.
Right? The right to die movement does not operate like that. The right to die movement only assists people if they determine that they want to die. They don't look at an individual and say you are suffering and you should die.
George, and we're not going that way. George, let me put it in a way then that we can all understand it. The right to die by this person who wants to die, it is like saying it is the intentional termination of life by another who has been requested by the one who dies to do so. The one who is dying requests of someone else to terminate my life, and you comply. Who give you the right to do that? Because the man said, kill me or help me die.
So, again, they don't comply like that. Now, whether right or wrong, they go and listen to the person. And again, they provide the counseling to the person in what they are asking for, to make sure that the person is fully aware of what they are asking for.
Okay, fine. Let's agree that all that has taken place, right? The guy has asked you, and you agree, and all that kind of stuff. Now, how are you going to do this and justify it in the laws of Trinidad, Tobago, New York, Washington, wherever? How are you going to justify that? What would you tell the police?
I can tell you the method that can be used, but then you have got to ask yourself, should I do this? Because you're not going to hold that person in the throat and strangle them to death.
No, of course not.
What you do, there is something known as passive euthanasia. You hasten their death. And how do you do it? By stopping food and water and allow dehydration. You can do that. But
that's one way, and that's one way.
Another way. Stopping the medication. You can also ignore cardiac arrest from the signs and symptoms that are appearing. Ignore it, and they will die.
Yes, I want to get to that in a little while.
You can give large doses of morphine under the guise that you are doing it as an analgesic to stop the excruciating pain the person is, when you fully know that is going to cause a cardiac a respiratory embarrassment, and they will die. So what you're doing is getting rid of them and excusing yourself that you are really helping them. Helping them do what? And okay. My question would be, are you really trying to relieve their pain, or are you glad enough that you've got a legitimate reason to ease yours watching them? Watching them suffer. Who determines that? The law?
See, in the right to die movement, sometimes many of the people who assist you in committing suicide or committing to take ending your own life, most of the time it's people who don't have to watch you Safa, let me tell you something. My sister worked in a hospital in Long Island, right? And let me tell you what happened there.
You better don't call the name of that hospital.
No, definitely not. No, definitely not.
Yeah, but they're not too many hospitals in Long Island either.
But let me just say what happened there. What happened there is legal. It's very legal. And it's not a secret. It's not, I'm not going to say, and it's not, it don't happen things like people just giving people injection and say die. What happened there is this. There are a number of people in that hospital there, and it's like a hospital for people really sick bad and stuff. If you have a request to die, that is not practice there. Let me say it totally. There's no such thing goes on there. However, the patient also have the right to sign no resuscitation. So let's say they walk outside and they were suffering like a cardiac arrest or something, they sign no resuscitation or things like that. And
that's different.
Do you know that the doctors have something called the the Hippocratic Oath?
Yeah.
You know that?
No, I don't know much about heard of it yet.
Right? So how can a doctor ignore that he swore to the saving of life and the preservation of life, and because somebody who might be delirious comes and says, I want to die, he complies? How could you do that? Even if we take it now from a medical legal point of view, how could you do that? That person might be so delirious, so confused, and they come and ask you that, and you agree and assist them?
I'm not sure. I can't say the right to die movement operate that way. I tell you to speak with the person who wants to die first. Have a long discussion with them. And to make sure that the person is in the right frame of mind and know what.
Hey, listen, if a guy is getting ready to die, he doesn't want to have any long discussion with you, okay? But, I mean, I've known people who signed that, gave power of attorney to somebody else and said, do not resuscitate. That's different.
That's different?
Yeah, because, I mean, they know that medically they're not going to recover. The doctors know it. And lots of time it is after prolonged illness and sometimes unconsciousness. Do not resuscitate. That's very, very different. We're talking about somebody making a determination that, look, this guy is not going to make it and I am going to, take him out.
No, I think I understand where Jordan.
I understand that.
Yeah, so I am talking about what he is talking about. That is passive, suicide, passive euthanasia, where you are operating on the desires of someone who is physically ill, but seems to be in their right mind. And I am saying even then, no.
They say no, yeah. And as I was saying to you, John and Reverend Henry, think of the case where this guy is lying on a bed, paralyzed from his neck down. Is this the way you anticipate a human being should live?
That's not for me to do. That's for God that you talk about. To consider, not me.
Let me ask you a question.
That has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
That's okay. God's domain.
Let me ask you a question. Okay, you're extremely compassionate. You're very, very religious and righteous and all that good stuff. And you went in the hospital one day and you saw a whole lot of people in there. They were unconscious. You, in your judgment, you think they weren't going to live. Would you then consider going in there and euthanizing them?
No, and I keep saying before, and I keep making this point over and over whenever the question comes like that.
Yeah, but the person is now incapable of talking to you about it. They're totally incapable. And, but you're a man of great, tremendous compassion.
No, I would not.
Why not?
I think only way you should assist a person in dying is if the person asks for it. If the person lies on the bed,
Okay, what methodology you use? Would you take a gun and shoot him, or would you?
Of course not.
Tell us what you would do. That's what you would do.
That's what we do.
If I was to adopt such a position, I will give the person a debt of non-physical pain. Let it go peacefully and ease and slowly. There is medication out there for that.
But why would you give them medication knowing that it is going to kill them? You might as well give them arsenic.
But if they ask, pardon?
Would you give them arsenic then?
I don't know what I will give them. I don't know what Duskovsky used and what he would have used in the past, but he was unapologetic. What he was doing.
George, if that person is in excruciating pain and they can't sleep and they're groaning in pain, I mean unbearable pain.
Could you leave them? Would you leave them to suffer like that?
No, I would give them an
analgesic, but you don't have to kill them.
I would give them an analgesic, but I certainly wouldn't give him an overdose of morphine.
Mm-hmm.
I would give him an analgesic, even morphine, but I would not give him in a dose which I consider lethal.
Right. And now
because if I do that, I have killed him. It is murder.
Mm-hmm.
Because he asked for it.
Right.
He asked for it, but it is murder. Because I knowingly gave him an overdose of morphine, knowing that it is going to put him into respiratory embarrassment and kill him. I know that. So why should I give him?
But you would rather see him lie and suffer?
No, I would rather see him lie and suffer. It wasn't me who put him there. And if you just told me that you believe the Bible where it says God promises not to leave or forsake us, why am I going to step inside and say, look, God, you real unfair. This ain't nice to the man. I gonna have to come to his help because you ain't coming. Why should I do that? It's not my role.
Yeah, but tell me something. When God said He'd never leave us or forsake us, and that could be that doesn't say it's in sickness or in health. I mean, if you're going peacefully, we all have to die one day.
Well, who said it has to be peaceful? Who said it has to be peaceful for everybody? A soldier who gets killed on the front lines is not peaceful.
In most cases, no, because he died in violence. War is a violent situation. There's nothing peaceful about war.
So if you are in a febrile condition that takes your life, you think in a very febrile condition when age steps in, that you could lay down there peacefully and say, Lord, I'm coming home? You really think so? Have you ever seen a man die?
No, I have not. Oh yes. I would have heart attack. He dropped down morning and died. And he was groaning and
no, I'm talking about, John is talking about after prolonged illness.
No, I have not seen anyone die after a prolonged illness. And,
somebody's trying to get in.
The one we are asking here, we need to take a break and
we give the
a view promotion and come again.
Do we give the numbers?
Yeah. No, when we come.
Okay, we are taking a break now, but for those of you who are out there eager to come in with your calls and your emails and whatnot, let me remind you that if you are living in the United States of America, you can contact us at 718-879-5560 extension 303. Let me say that again for all of our brothers and sisters in the United States of America. 718-879-5560 extension 303. We're standing by for your calls. We're standing by for your emails. Those of you living in Canada, you may contact us at 416-800-0392, extension 947. All our brothers and sisters in Canada. That's 416-800-0392, extension 947. And those of you in London, we have not forgotten you. Those in London, you can make your calls 44203 3182614. Let me repeat that for those of our brothers and sisters in London. 44203 3182614. Those of you on MSN, ccv@ccvradio.com. And hopefully you will make it through to us. That's MSN, ccv@ccvradio.com. Those on Facebook, CCV Radio, CCV Radio. And on Skype, CCV Radio. We're looking forward for your calls. We are eager to have your emails as well. Have a good night. We're having a break now.